Good morning or good evening. Welcome to Pop Chat, and with me today is my poetry husband, Sarfraz Ahmed. Hi. Good
Hi,
morning.
hi, hi, hi.
Good
How you
afternoon.
doing, Annette? You're right.
So yes, we have Sarfraz and I have a history. We united to produce a poem. So, gosh, we should have somehow got that video. The launch of
Oh
Two.
my God, the two hearts. I've got the book.
Uh,
I've got the book Two Hearts.
I
Uh,
know, but I should have somehow got that video on here. And I didn't. I'm not sure how to even access that.
but
That
that's
was
okay.
that was a great video. Um, anyway, so Sarfraz Ahmed is from the UK, and instead of me going through his bio, I'm going to have him tell about himself and his poetry journey. And if you would be so kind, tell us
Yes,
about you.
thank you, Annette. I think I think my journey actually people actually think my journey started about 2 years ago, in COVID, but that was when I got published in 2020, and I'll talk about the books in a second. But the journey started very, very earlier on when I was a secret poet. So I started writing in secret that almost 20 years ago now. Can you believe that? I must have been a tiny little kid. But and I was writing in secret because I love poetry. It was actually started off something that my sister said, and she was clearing up her room, and she had lots of poems and lots of Maya Angelou poems and things that she just put together. And I was just sort of clearing this out, and I said, "Look, I can write like this." And she laughed and she said, "Why don't you? You keep talking about it. Why don't you?" So I started, and that was a long time ago. That was almost 20 years ago, and I was writing in secret. And back then, there wasn't the platforms to share your work or even engage with other poets and writers. So I kept writing, and I joined a couple of workshops. And through that period, and this is over a period of years, and I started, I went to some workshops, and that's where one poem in particular was formed, which is called Stab the Pomegranate. And at that time, yeah, in 2008, I think.
So you wrote that way back then?
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
I did not know it that you wrote it so
No,
long
but Stab the Pomegranate and a few others, because a lot of the early poems, because I wrote a lot, and to be honest, and I don't think, if you looked at my poems then, there were a lot of rants. They were on for pages and pages, and
So
I
did
would.
you write that before you did? Is it 84 pins? 84 pins?
Yes, yes. So
So you
Stab the
wrote that.
Pomegranate.
Oh wow, I
Oh
did not
yes,
know.
yeah. Oh God, yes. So Stab the Pomegranate had a lot of attention. So in 2008, it was actually put in a magazine, and it grew, and loads of attention was around that. But there wasn't the platform to take it to the next level, and I kind of put myself there, and I thought I'm gonna go and sort out my craft and basically force myself into retirement, I think, for about 10 years until 2020, when the first book, the 84 Pins collection, this is the second edition, so you might not recognize the cover of it, but I went back and redid this one
Mhm.
again. But that's when I went back, and 2020 was the year of the lockdown, and that's where I met Annette. We both met then, and we both wrote our first books then. And just by chance, I was at work, and one of my colleagues, a lady called Julie Stacey, who wrote Journey of the Mad. She wrote a she wrote a fantastic poetry book, but she said to me, Saffron, you write poetry. You're right. I've always known you to write poetry. So, would you like to submit something to my publisher? It was called Green Cat, and it took me 2 months to pluck up the courage to actually do so. So I sent her, which would be the manuscript for 84 Pins, to be honest. So I sent her that, and she came back with some really great feedback and told me that she loved the poems and wanted to publish the whole thing. And I was taking a gasp. I was thinking like, "Whoa, what's this? This is just crazy!" And I was so nervous, and I was just
So
thinking,
your audio was really good and it kind of went down a little bit. I'm not sure what happened.
"Okay, okay, is it okay
Now,
now?"
yeah, yeah, now it's good.
Okay, I think I stepped back a bit. Okay, but back then in 2020, the first book, the 84 Pins, was published, and the first edition was only 60 pages. It was a very very small book. Didn't have a picture of me in there, no bio. There was hardly it was just about the poems, but that caused quite a bit of a stir, which was a surprise to me. Which was like, for example, there was a lot of writers and poets from the US started reading it. I was getting messages constantly from New York. Keisha, that we know, Keisha Mulvey Bayes, who's a big writer and poet. She's moved to Miami now, but she was in New
Yeah.
York and she was reading my book. She had the book. She goes, a lot of my friends have got your book. And I thought, oh my God. And then next thing you know, Annette, you contacted me. We started chatting over this 84 Pins book, which was like, whoa, what's going on here? And at that time, I was in lockdown. At that time, I think we were all locked down. We all had no one. We were all isolated, and the poetry kept me going and kept me kind of alive. And the 84 Pins book, when that got released in June 2020, was a kind of a milestone for me, to be honest, to actually share my work with everyone. Um, and then subsequently, once we did that, in November, I got the opportunity to actually do my children's book,
Yeah.
which is this one. If I can
There
put
you
it on there, there you go.
go.
There you go. My
She's
teacher's
an
an alien.
alien.
I'll open it up because the pictures are fantastic. If you look at it there,
Yes.
yeah, my
I have
teacher's
my
an
I have my
alien.
I have my children's book here.
Yes, I mean, I love your. I mean, I love your book, The Bird and the Dragonfly.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I love this book. I'm actually not to veer off the subject for a moment,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go. You know, my grandson helped me co-write it. I'm going to go up to his grade school and visit him and his twin brothers' classes and give them the books. But then I thought, well, I'll give it to my grandson who helped me, and then the first grade classes. And if I give him the kid, anyway, that's a lot of kids. I mean, I think I'm going to
It's a
have to
lot of
order
books.
more books. I ordered 100, and I don't think it's going to be enough.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
But
Um,
so you did that one, and that came out. What? When did that come out, Sarfraz?
uh, um, that came out in November because I actually met the illustrator because for me the poem was already written. It was only one poem which made the book. Um, that was an early poem as well. But I met the illustrator, Natasha Adams, who illustrated the book,
Oh,
and for me that was the most
so
easiest book
how
to
did you
write.
find her? How did you find the illustrator? How did you
She
find
was a
her?
friend of mine through work. She was a friend of mine through work and
Oh,
was
okay.
talking. Yeah, and she kind of stopped
Wow, she's
stopped doing
very
what she was doing
talented.
and became a freelance illustrator. And I told her, well, by the way, I've just got published. And so we got both excited. And I said, look, I've got a poem that's actually it's actually a children's book, I think. And she went away and she goes, I'm going to come back with some designs for you. And I talked to her about let's make a book together. We could really do this. And
Wow.
next thing you know, my teacher's an alien was put together and it was born. For me, it was an easy book to write because
Did you do that? Did you go through the same publisher? Did you
same publisher,
self-publish?
Green Cat. Yeah, at
Oh,
that
really?
time, yeah, because I asked for some advice. I said, look, I want to do a children's book. Is there anywhere I could go? She goes, oh, don't give it to anyone, give it to me.
Oh,
She became
nice.
very, very possessive and very good, and she did a great job. To be honest, to be fair, and very,
Yeah,
and it was great. I mean, I don't know about yourself, Annette, but I loved doing the children's book. It was one of
yes,
the
I
most
do.
pleasurable experiences I had.
And you know what was funny is yesterday my grandkids came over. My twin grandsons must be about 6 years old, and I did the one uh, that I published, and I they had me write a poem that they came up with the title kind of thing. So one was I don't know, and the bird flies away. That was the name of one of them, and the other one was I don't know something about that owl on the moon, or I don't remember what it was, but he was like he wants to get me to publish them. They want me to publish them as books.
Wow. I mean,
So
there's potential to put a children's poetry book together, a bit like Kathy Jo's done. She's done a great children's book.
yeah,
And, McKinley have just put one out as well, a children's book, which
yeah,
is
they
which is great. It kind of challenges us as writers, I think. I find it kind of, pulls us in different directions,
Yeah.
which I enjoy. I enjoy all that.
And McKinley published that one. So
Yes, yes, they
yeah,
did.
they were
Um,
great.
and then we can't forget Two Hearts, which is our
Yay.
book, which is our book. Now this was done.
That's our baby.
That's
Yeah.
our baby. I mean, I was reading it actually. To be honest, I'm going to read it out this Friday in a theatre. So I'm going to read one of the poems from there. It's Black History Month in
Oh,
the UK. Yeah,
cool.
it's Black
So
History Month, and
you have one about
there are
that?
two poems that lend themselves very good to that. And one of them is um, I Rise Up, which I've got, and the other one is Take Your Knee Off My Neck, which is
Yes,
all about
yes.
the police officer who accused of killing a black man.
That's a very
I think he
powerful.
was, yeah. So, but those are the two. So the I Rise Up is the one that I'm going to read in one of the theatres on Friday in front of a live
Wow.
audience. And I've also been doing open mic sessions as well
Well,
with a live
if you read
audience.
out of Two Hearts book, make sure you mention my name just so they've
Of
heard it.
course, I do
Yeah.
call. I do. I mean, I say Annette Tarpley, one of the leading poets in the US,
Oh, stop. It's a
which is
very
which for me is
novice
always true because
medium.
I think we had a great friendship. I mean, I think at that time, at that period in 2020, from both of our books being published to Two Hearts, that was an amazing period for both of us because I think we
Wow.
vibed off each other and we wrote quite a few poems together, quite a lot
And
actually before the book.
you did such a great job. You're always so good at editing and stuff like that. And the anthology is going to be out, I think, in December. Eureka
Yes.
is working on finishing that up for me. So I decided that I had to have some help and have somebody do it because I just don't have time to do it. So,
Eureka will do
bless
it
his heart.
because to be honest, all that's needed to be done is actually a publisher to go through it and they can actually see what's needed and what's not. They'll see very quickly
Yeah.
what works and what doesn't work.
So
And
you
I
had
think
Two Hearts, and then you had uh,
so we've
Stab
got
the
Two Hearts, which I
Pomegranate.
wrote from there, and then
And
a year
do
later,
you want to tell them what happened on Two Hearts? Remember?
well, Two Hearts. Ooh, there you go. Two Hearts poem was a book written by Annette and myself. Um, it was fantastic, actually. The whole experience. I think it was written within about 2 or 3 months, less than that. I think from
Yeah.
Christmas till February, so 2 months, the whole book was written. And it was a case of Annette sending me her poems, and then I putting the manuscript together, and we've obviously getting a new publisher for that. Um, but I think what happened to me on that in that process, I actually learned how to edit and put a book together because prior to that, I was just thinking about poems. I wasn't thinking about books, but then I actually learned books. I
How to
learned how to what
format
works,
and do all
the
those things you need
formatting.
to
I learned
do.
editing. I learned how to kind of upload and also Kindle. I learned about self-publishing. For
Yeah.
me, it was a whole complete journey, which helped me with the subsequent books that I was going to put together and gave me a huge amount of confidence. But to be honest, I mean, even now, people come back to me and they, once they've, because a lot of people did have actually bought this book, and I was
Yeah.
actually reading from this book in the open mic, so I had it, and there was somebody actually complimenting the cover, and and as soon and the next thing you know, she's bought it. She had a phone on it,
Wow.
and she bought the copy there and then, and she goes, "This is amazing," and she goes, "How many? For about £10 here." Just not a lot of money. You get over. I think we've got just over 100 or maybe even more than that poems.
Yeah, we do. We
150,
did over
160.
100.
It's a bumper edition, so you're gonna get your money's
And
worth.
it went
It went
to,
number one. It was a number one Amazon bestseller.
and we
It was
edged out,
crazy.
and we edged out.
William Shakespeare. So William Shakespeare was number one with his complete
Yeah,
works,
we
and I
edged out.
think next, I think next thing you know, we got to number one. We edged him out, and to be honest, to have an Amazon bestseller was both satisfying but also very tiring. I don't know about you, but those couple of days were actually exhausting.
They were very,
You know,
but
just the
we edged
sheer
out Willie. We edged out Willie.
yeah. So
So,
William Shakespeare, but the other thing is my sister. I'm going to let you know that my sister does the covers
Yeah.
So my sister Sabina, if she's watching, she does the covers because get asked a lot about the covers. She did all my covers, bar the my Teacher's an
Did she?
Alien and the 84 pins. So she's
Nice.
done all the covers for that. And 84 pins, she did try. She did try quite hard to get that right, but we just couldn't. It just wasn't working at all. But this one subsequently worked, and then once After Two Hearts was done, in my head, I always had Stab the Pomegranate. I couldn't. I was still had that back of the mind, and I kept saying to myself, "What are you going to do with this poem that actually caused quite a stir back in the day, but needed to be in a book?" I didn't want to give it to an anthology.
Yeah.
It needed to be in a book. And Stab the
Oh,
Pomegranate, funny enough, Annette, everyone actually thinks that Stab the Pomegranate is my first book because I think After Two Hearts, I've been around probably for about 18 months by then.
right, right,
Yeah,
right.
through social media, through online. There was such a momentum. I think partly because of you as well, because I became also moderator and administrator for obviously Passion of Poetry, which and I remember you convincing me. I kept saying, "Oh, Sarfraz, you'll be all right. You'll be able to cope with it.
Yeah, you
You'll
were
be
like,
fine."
what?
And I did, and I enjoyed it because it wasn't just becoming an administrator for one of the largest, which it is now, I think, one of the largest poetry groups on Facebook.
Right.
It was actually meeting other people, global poets and writers that have been fantastic for all of us. I think we've really enjoyed their company and their expertise because, to be honest, compared to the experience that those people have got, I'm not there yet at all. Oh, hi, Greg. I think Greg is saying hello.
Yeah,
Greg,
and
yeah.
if you could please sign when you make a comment so we know who you are, that would be great because otherwise we don't know who's greeting us. And so,
Oh, brilliant!
um,
We're getting quite a lot. But yeah, everyone thought that Stab the Pomegranate was going to be my book. So when I wrote the book, I think what I wanted to do was to put together a retrospective of my old work, the early work, which was the 10 years in retirement and all of that. Well, the poems that were the exciting ones, and put some of my new ones. So I split it up like a pomegranate. When you split a pomegranate in two, it has two hearts and two parts.
oh,
So definitely people, and this is probably the Stab the Pomegranate is probably the most requested poem I get asked to read whenever
really?
I get asked to
Wow.
read it
Are
out.
you reading that today? You want to read it now?
Should we read Stab the Pomegranate? Yeah,
Yeah, read it.
let's go for it, and let's see what the fuss is about. When the book was out, this is interesting to know. I actually got a lot of messages, and one of the messages was, they go, "Did you know, Safras, that your book is causing quite a stir in the US?" Which I'm not going to forget. I think people were buying it and enjoying it and reading it. Okay, so here's Stab the Pomegranate. She stabbed the pomegranate right through the heart, cut it to pieces, tore it apart, sliced and diced it, drew out its life. She went in with a scalpel, then cut like a knife. Soon after, blood filled her beautiful hands as she bled dry its juicy glands. She carried on for a long time. I don't think she quite knew that she had committed the worst possible crime that anyone could ever commit, for there is a well thought out method, a perfect technique to cut open a pomegranate, and this wasn't it. And there she stood right in front of me with the pomegranate in her hands. She held it high so I could see. I knew then that it was over, that she wasn't the one for me. The night I witnessed the stabbing of the pomegranate, the night she cut open my heart, the night she set me free. Oh, there it is, there it is there. So yeah, stabbing of the pomegranate. And someone actually had said to me that I was actually doing I think they were launching my book in India, and they had it was Stab the Pomegranate, and they kept asking me what is the poem about. I said, listen, and you'll know what the stabbing of the pomegranate is. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jill. Thank you, Greg. Annette, you're muted. You're muted.
I did mute myself. I coughed while you were off. I don't want to be coughing while he's. So tell me a little bit about you as far as what it is that you do for your like your job. And
Yes, yes. Thank you. So, um, I'd love to be a poet full time. Wouldn't we both? That would be my ideal job to be a poet full time. But I was trained, and I'm trained as a in America they call it a guidance counselor. So I work in a very big college at the moment, very very busy and very active in that. Um, people often think that I write poetry in a nice office, and I lock myself away like some of the poets of old, with maybe a drink, maybe a bottle with me, and I just write throughout the night. It doesn't work like that for me. I don't have an office. I write mainly in the morning, very early in the morning, or if I wake up in the middle of the night, that's when I've written my best pieces, I think. Um, and I will write. Sometimes I'll write the whole poem as one piece. Um, but but more often than not, I will write a couple of lines and then go back to it and then go back to it. That's how
so
I write.
so okay, so you go back to it and back to it like you don't um
I will I
you
will probably be
sit.
writing maybe two or three, maybe even four poems at the same time. It won't be just one.
So do you sit on it for a while and then mull over
Yeah,
it?
I go. I do actually. I sit on it for a while, and then I get to the point when I can't. It's not doing anything for me, so I'll just move on to the next, and then I'll revisit it. I think the hardest poems to write are the personal ones that are personal, maybe about my family or someone that I've lost or someone very close to me, or something that's very, very it means so much to me, and they're the hardest poems to write. I can't. Sometimes they are so emotional that I get emotionally involved that I can't put the words right. If you know what I mean. They're the ones that I feel detached from. I can write very quickly, but
Yeah.
the ones that are very close to me, or something, say if you said to me, "Oh, Safraz, can you write something about, I don't know, someone close to us has passed away? Can you write something for the eulogy or the funeral?" I'll probably
Mhm.
take weeks for that. It's not, it doesn't,
Mhm.
won't come easy because it means so much.
Yeah, I a long time before I really started writing, I'd write poems, but usually if I wrote one about a loved one, they'd have to pass away or something, and then I could write. But I've kind of changed that a little bit. So, what would you is there anyone in particular who you feel like really influenced you as far as your writing style?
Yeah, that's. Thank you for asking that question, Annette, because in my next book, because I'll talk about what I'm going to do as well. I'll talk about the ones I've written, but I'm working on some. I always like to work on something. I like to have a project, so I'm working on something for next summer. Um, but I think in the early days, I think my style was taken from a lot of the American poets, to be honest, a lot of the American writers. So, even I Rise Up, you can see the influences of Maya Angelou on quite distinctly. I even say I often say the cage bird is free now or something like that. But it was Maya Angelou. I do love, even to this day, um, some of her less famous poems and the ones that she's edited are truly truly magnificent. Um, I was influenced quite a lot by yourself, to be honest. I think when I met you and your style, and I think our styles were very very similar, and I think we really totally vibe together.
And what are
I've
you
written,
known as far as what is your
sorry,
nickname? What's your nickname?
my nickname. Sometimes they call me Saf or the romantic poet. So it was.
Romantic.
Let me tell the audience. I think the audience that's listening. So um, it was interesting because myself and Annette had not met. Annette had this book, which was a very thin 60-page book from the UK, from a UK poet. So it's not even a picture of me or anything. And I asked Annette online, I said, which poems do you like? And she goes, all the romantic ones. And I didn't even know that 84 Pins was a romantic book. I had
Yeah.
no idea because
Had
the interesting
what?
thing about 84 Pins, my first book, it was never meant to be published. It was never, the other subsequent ones, I had an idea, you know, but the first one, because I never thought I'd ever be published. I wasn't planning on it, so it just happened. So they were very raw, very the emotions were very raw, the longing and the love for longing in there is very
Yeah.
raw. The rejection and the pain and what people will see in 84 pins is very real. So that was there, and I think that's where the romanticism came out.
Yeah.
Um, Moving on from that, who's actually subsequently inspired me. I'm really inspired by Elliot Rubin. I've got to say, Elliot is a friend of both us, Annette's and
Yeah.
mine. But Elliot runs a New York critique group, poetry critique group, and I joined that. I
That's
joined that
one that you're in with Jill Sharon.
Yeah, Jill and a few others. Jill does the Friday one, and I do the Monday, no, Wednesday one, because of the timings of the US and the UK. But that has influenced me hugely. So Elliot introduced me to a new style of writing, which you will see in the next book, and he introduced me to Charles Bukowski, which I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a UK thing. I didn't know who he was. I'll be honest with you, and he's so famous. And then also Frank O'Hara as well. It's really interesting because I live in the UK, and you'd think, oh, he'd be influenced by the UK poets and writers, but honestly, it just has never happened. It's always been the US, and subsequently, I think my work and the
Mhm.
books that I'm writing are selling more in the US.
Yeah.
And I can probably understand why. I think the style and the way I write is pretty I think people are enjoying it. Um, and then also recently I've got into Rumi as well, which is Rumi is one of the oldest poets ever going. He's been around for ages, and everyone kept saying to me, "Oh, you've got to read Rumi." And now I've actually started reading, and his poems are deep, very deep.
Mhm. So do you get support from family, friends, coworkers? Are people very supportive of you and your poetry?
It's interesting, Annette, because I am going to say yes. My family, yes, they do support me, but they don't always like poetry. They're not poetry people, so it's really weird because it's like even you know a lot of people that talk about my poetry have not read my poems, which is really
Hmm.
interesting. I don't know if that's the same about you. And they talk about poetry as if they've read my book, but they've not even, and forget that it's not the book. They've not read any of the poetry. And my poetry is very much out there on social media, on Instagram. There's a lot of it around, but they've not read it. But they are very supportive of me. I mean, a lot of my friends are very supportive, but they're not poetry people at all. It's um, but I do get people who now are buying the books and enjoying the poetry and coming back to me and says, the way that you wrote this, the way that you put this together really touched me, and I could relate to that. So,
Yeah.
but the support is out there because I mean, we've got how many members have we got of Passion of Poetry? 26, 28,
No, no, we're just getting ready to turn over to 29.
29,000 members, and they're all poetry people. And I think that's where the support comes from. And for me now on Instagram, that's actually getting quite big. I
Yeah.
like to. I've got a lot of actually posts that I like on Instagram. To be honest, a lot of the
I
ones that
do not
right.
know how to use those apps. I do not find them friendly at all. I have no clue how to use it.
I like to tag you into it, Annette. I mean, what I do. Well, I've got to be honest with you. When I first started using Instagram, I actually went to one of my friends she's very popular on Instagram. She's got lots of followers and everything, and I had to have lessons from her.
So you cheated. You did
No,
get
no, no,
the.
no. She wasn't cheating. She just taught me what to use and how to use it
Well,
and what.
I mean, you cheated in the respect of you got help and I haven't. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I mean,
You need to
I need
grab
to.
grab
There needs
someone.
to be some kind of a support group
I
for
like to put one.
Instagram
I like.
people.
I see your poems are on there, but I like to put at least one on there as
I think
well.
it automatically loads up, doesn't it? From
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. It does. But again, it's all about tagging, and I think that's a new audience. I think the poems on Instagram excite me. They
Are
actually
you on TikTok?
no. I love to be on TikTok, but I think it's a time-consuming thing. I love to be on YouTube as well. I think that's another one, but it's time,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's all about. time, and even putting the one or two poems that I do put out, that's actually something that I've got to consciously think of to say, oh, right. And then I have to find an appropriate one to put out there for people to enjoy, because I know people are waiting for the next one.
So
Because
you
it's,
what? You want to do another poem?
yes, let's do another poem. Let's do something from my my book for 2020, which is The Gift of Poetry, which is there.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. This book, I got this book for a lot of reasons. People have actually said to me that it was actually the most easy read poem that they ever had, that they ever read. And I was going to read actually Tea and Biscotti, which was the one I wrote for Jill Sharon Kimbleman and Tim Little. I think I'm going to read two. Can I read two, Annette? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to
Of
read two.
course you can. I muted
Thank you,
myself
thank you, thank you.
again.
Okay, I'm going to read two. So I'm going to read Tea and Biscotti, and then I'm going to read I Remember Their Faces. Tea and Biscotti. Hold me close, hold me tight. Let's have some tea and biscotti on this cold winter's night. With a comforting blanket upon our knees and a warm mug in our hearts, we'll sit together and listen to the brass band. Tenderly we'll move and sway as cool jazz plays while we lounge away the days. We gaze at each other while tasting sweet tea and biscotti and sipping warm tea while you wrap your arms around me. Thank you. And that's actually dedicated to a great friend of both Annette and mine as well, Jill Sharon Kimbleman, and also her partner, Tim Little, her husband, Tim Little. Okay. I'm going to read another poem from The Gift of Poetry called I Remember Their Faces. People, places that I remember, that I recall, that I stumble upon. Some are still here, while others are gone. Many I could not hold on to, no matter how hard I tried, but many stayed here long after the laughter died. Too many strangers, not enough friends. They all came into my life, but all left in the end. Now all I seem to do is walk past gravestones of those that came into my life, left a mark, did what they had to do. Now and then I recall, I remember people, places, I remember their smiles and laughter, I remember their faces. Thank you.
Great. Those were both beautiful. So
Thank you.
how frequently do you write? Is it a daily thing for you?
It's it's a day. My poetry, and I don't know about you, Annette, my poetry is linked to my well-being, is linked to my 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 sense of well-being, my positivity, my mood. I tend to write every single day. I don't write a poem a day. I might write a line a day. I might write a few scribbles here and there. And prior to getting published, I didn't even have a notebook. So I have got a
Oh.
notebook. Yeah, they call it the
So when you
poetry's
write,
journal.
do you write it out?
Yeah,
You
I never type straight away. I write longhand, so I write
you
a
never do the
scribble and
phone thing?
no, no. I did
Wow.
when I was on holiday. I did the phone thing. I think I was asked to put something towards. I think it was the children's anthology for McKinley, and and I sent her. I actually typed it on my phone and sent it to Eureka, and she accepted it. So so
Yeah.
I have done things like that, but no, I like to write on a pen and paper. Yeah, I write on pen and paper, and then I type it, and then it goes through lots of changes and things like that. So, but
So
I do write, but I like writing with other people as well. That became
you like what? Say that again. You
I
like
like
what?
writing with other people
Oh
doing.
yes, I know you do. You've done so many collaborations. I'd like to know. Do you know how many collaborations you've done? Have you counted?
I've done. I'm going to go about. I could actually pull a whole book together of the collaborations I've done. So
Yes, you
maybe like
could.
about
You
50 or
could.
60.
Mhm.
I've got my favourites. We've done quite a lot together, actually, haven't we? We've done
We did
loads.
a racy one too.
Yeah, tango.
We got a
But
lot of comments with that in the reviews. Remember
there was.
that
I don't.
review?
Have we ever read it out? Have I read? I think we have. I think
So
we
we
got loads of comments on the tango. We got loads of reviews of the tango. I actually enjoyed. Yeah, yeah. Here it is, and the ice cream, but the tango. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it in front of me. I remember you writing your piece, and you were kind of thinking, oh, it's going to be too racy for Safraz. I think I upped the scale a bit
Yeah.
more. I
I was
uh,
like, ooh.
I really made the temperature go high on that, and I really enjoyed writing it. So I want to read something from one of my collaborations that I did with Donna McCormack, who I met on
Yes.
uh, the critique group in New York, and this is a style that is a little bit different to what I've been usually writing, but it's became one of my favorite poems, and it's called Pluto and the Moons, and
It's
this
called
is
what? What is the name of it?
called Pluto and the Moons.
Oh, okay.
Pluto and the Moons. Okay, let's go. I tied strings round my fingers to connect me to the pieces that linger. Promises trapped within memories of you and I, ballooned in expectations that float so high. Entangled in strings and galaxies and stars, they float above me, captivating, mesmerizing, multicolored balloons, too far to reach, Pluto and the moons. But Jupiter is your planet, the biggest of them all. It carries the heart of you, a love that grows. Strings connect the two of us, but will you ever know? Thank you. And that's written with a great friend of mine, Donna McCormack,
John
who I
McCormick. Yeah.
met. Yeah, she's one of them. I mean, you talk about people that inspire me. I mean, I think majority of poets that are out there will give me inspiration. And
Yeah.
what I love about Donna's writing is her minimalistic style, the way that she
Yeah.
compresses this long poems. Because, I mean, when I first started writing, my poems used to go on for pages. You
Yeah.
know, not anymore. They wouldn't get published, to be honest.
Yeah. I think
Um,
as poets we can do that. We can kind of abbreviate things. We don't have to have everything in there.
took
So
time, and that took time. That took there was a style kind of adopted through that, but. But now, after the Gift of Poetry, which was released, I think for me it's every summer. I always tend to read a book every summer. So Gift of Poetry, which was out there in the summer, and then Hope, and I'm working on my next poetry book, which will be very similar style and a change of pace to
when is
what
that
I've been
coming
doing.
out? When is that coming out?
Hopefully in the summer, I might be able to release it again because I'm going to work on it over Christmas. And because when you're working on your own work, you don't need to answer to anyone, so you can just get on with it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to what people will think of those poems. They are very, very different, very exciting, very new. And I think even I was looking at them and I'm thinking, whoa, this is some, even I think Jill made a comment. She goes, she thought my poems were good and she liked them, but she goes, the new stuff that you're writing, and that's helped, I think, a lot by going into the critique group with Elliot, to be honest, because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Annette, but I've never, ever, ever been into a creative writing class ever. I've never
Mm.
been to a
I,
creative
I'm,
writing
try- I'm
class.
trying to remember. I don't think I have either. I just write,
Yeah,
however,
I just write.
however
I just
good or
write.
bad.
Yeah, but what I did learn in this critique group, I learned, obviously I knew what stanza was, but I didn't know half the other things. I didn't know none of them. I didn't know any of the things that were there, and the way that kind of poets put things together, and kind of the creative writing process. So I've developed
Is there
those
supposed to
kind of
be a
techniques.
certain format or way that I'm doing
There's a
it?
load of, oh my God,
I
I
just
mean,
kind of
people
throw
count
things together.
they count the rhythms, they count the beats, they count the rhymes, they count there's a whole method
I
of
have
doing
a
it.
little bit of a problem with that and the formality of it because I think that um, it encases us too much into a set that we should have the freedom to do our own thing. You know,
Yes, I agree.
if it doesn't, the timing is just not what it's part of the creative process. And if people want to do the metered thing, that's fine. If they want to do their own thing, that's fine. So I think I have a little bit of the problem with a lot of the formalities. So I probably wouldn't do good in your critique thing.
I mean, I mean, the interesting is, I mean, it's not to say that I've become very strict and my writing style has completely changed. No, it hasn't, and it won't, because that's the way I write. I write. There's a bit of rhyme in there. There's a bit of freestyle as well. I just do my own thing. But I've learned. It's nice to know what is out there. It's nice to know what people are saying about writing and
Yeah,
how
because
things are done. And I picked up quite a few techniques, which are quite useful.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure there's a lot to learn, but I feel like, and I think I've recently written things. I think there's actually a video recently done on about writing, and that we don't have the constraints. We really have the freedom to do whatever we choose. I remember somebody one time said something about something about, well, your one stanza didn't, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I said, and then I read some of her stuff. That's why I always kind of chuckle a little bit, because when people will critique, then I'll sometimes try to read their stuff, and I'm not
Exactly.
always impressed, huh?
Exactly. I totally agree, but I think it's great to have that, to be in that position to read other people's work,
Yeah.
uh, because I know what I like, and I'm very,
Mhm.
I'm very particular. I don't like poems that are overcomplicated. I don't like poems that you have to grab the thesaurus or the dictionary and try and work out the words. Those
Yeah.
poems really
Mhm.
put me off. I actually stopped reading. I actually stopped reading them. Poems that are too long, you
Yes.
know,
Too
and you
long, or they're not structured. Like
yes, and
Jill
you
said,
lose
Jill sent
yourself.
me something the other day that was beautifully written, but it was long. It was almost like a short story, but it was just all of it was together. And I told her, I said, my mind shuts off. I don't want to
Yeah,
read it because it's not structured enough.
yeah.
It's not easy on my eyes. To me, I just
That's
look at
exactly what
it.
it is. I
Yeah,
wanted. I find the thing is as well. I think Williams G, one of our, Williams G. He said this, and I'll never forget it. I think he was in the process of putting the pop anthology together, and we had lots of great meetings. But what he did say was people tend to read the first 10 lines of a poem, and if you can capture them, so they're not, so if you go on for 20 lines or 30 lines, you're going to lose them because they're not going to read the rest of it.
or if it has too big of words, do you check out mentally? I mean, I just kind
I
of
don't
like,
write anything big. I can't write. I don't think I don't think I'm one of those people. I've never used a thesaurus. I
mm-mm,
never ever look at a word and say, can I change it to something that's actually a bit more complicated? Or
yeah.
no, never do that. I think a lot of people that whose English is not the first language, I found lots of people in different countries, they tend to overcomplicate the
They do. They
they
do.
do, and they use words trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to
Impress maybe, but
impress.
yeah, but the thing is sometimes it's used incorrectly too.
Is used incorrectly, and it's too much of it and overused it. And I don't. And the thing is as well, with a
Mhm.
poem, it has to be something that you can just. I like to read poetry before I go to sleep. All right, I like to. I sometimes write, but I more read. So I've got books around me, and I think for ages I had your first book, Poetry
You
Pop Puree. I
right
still
by
got
your
it somewhere. I
pillow.
think I'll actually put it on a shelf now. But I
Did
had
you
your
put
book.
you shelved me? You're not sleeping in
Well,
the
I think
next
I think it was under
bed.
my pillow for over a year. It was under my pillow for over a year.
Well, that's enough. That's
So
enough.
anyway, so let's move on. Let's move on. But no, I think to be honest, I mean, if anyone's out
You're
there and they're looking to write poetry,
no.
or they're writing
Okay.
poetry, and feeling like, oh, I don't like this, I think poetry is a great way of expressing yourself, and also great way of, in this day and age with the stresses and strains of life, to get it out on paper. I think if you write, it helps you with that process. Certainly for me, if I've gone through a bad day or something's happened, I will need a pen and a paper, and I want to put it all down, whether it becomes a poem or whether it just becomes something I write, and I'm just using it to cope with life,
Mm,
because we've got a gift, and that's why the title of this book, my last book, is a gift of poetry. I think all poets and writers, we've got a gift, and we have to use our gift. Um, we
yeah.
have to use it. Whether we make, no one's really making a huge amount of money out of it, but whether you make money out of it or not, or you're using it for yourself, you've got to use your gift, because we all have got a gift that we are using. That's why the book was called The Gift of Poetry, the last one.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. I mean, I think I'd like to go on more on YouTube. I think that's something I'd love to do. I was actually talking to someone who says I'd love to have 20 or 30 of my poems on my own channel or something. That people could
Right. Yeah.
access.
I mean, I did a channel. You don't have a YouTube channel? I mean,
Yes,
it's kind of a pop channel,
yeah,
and but I don't know. I think that so let me just randomly ask you questions that aren't related to poetry,
yes.
such as what makes you laugh?
Oh, what makes me laugh? I think random things make me laugh. I think circumstances or situations in life will just totally crack me up. It could be it could not even be a joke, but it could be something, a humorous situation, and I'm actually laughing my head off, and I'm thinking this is hilarious.
Because you
So
have a
I think
great laugh. You'd have this great laugh.
so
Um,
I love comedy. I love laughter. I love people that make me laugh. I like to surround myself with those kind of people. I don't want any negativity. I don't like people that put other people down or have bullying, natures. I like people that are positive if possible, because it's hard to be positive when the world isn't such a great place at the moment. But I think laughter is its own therapy. You know, I've written some comedic, some funny poems as well, which got picked up on. I mean, in the 84 pins, because the first book there the first book was only 60 pages. It's still online. You can get it as a download, but I managed to get the publisher asked me. We had a conversation, and this became a second edition, and it's got a lovely cover. So
what is
art.
that? What is that little line through that? Is that the author's copy?
It's my basically this is my copy for
The author's
proofreading.
copy?
Yeah, so it's not, I've not had to buy it. It's just my one that I'm using to proofread, and I scribbled all over it.
Yeah.
But it's Art Deco in there. But there's a poem in here called "Poor Cow,"
Do you want
which
to read? Do you
a
want to
lot of,
read it? Do you
I'm
want to
going to
read
read
it?
it. A lot of the young people have found in there. You'll also see different themes in my poetry. You'll see a lot of jazz in my poetry. I don't know if you a lot of jazz.
Mhm.
I love jazz music. I love dancing as well, dance, and of course love. But you'll see my love poems are not always about love. Always a hint of sadness. Hence, obviously, start the pomegranate. Okay, I'm gonna find Poor Cow, which is in the 84 Pins book, and if I can find it, that'll be great. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. So we got the poem Poor Cow. I think it's hidden right at the back. Here we go, I've got it. Okay, so this is called Poor Cow. Here she goes again, wearing that dress. That's 2 sizes too small. Here she goes again, out on a pub crawl, wearing jewelry and makeup that must weigh a ton, and wearing clothes that leaves nothing to the imagination. Someone that old will catch a death of cold, out and about, letting it all hang out, treating each night as if it was a hen night, wearing clothes so tight, surely cannot be right. No amount of wigs or contact lenses can hide what's underneath. No amount of lipstick will hide those yellow teeth. She looks like a bag lady without the bag, a bad impression of a man dressed up in drag. Wearing no knickers, that she's nothing left. She's left nothing to reveal, except when she falls off those stiletto heels. Perhaps somebody should tell her how she looks, but I don't think anyone has the guts. Perhaps it will break her heart if you were to tell her the truth. Perhaps the poor cow was only trying to relive her youth.
Very good. I loved it. That was fun. And that's in which one? 84 pins?
That's in yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's
wonderful. I loved it.
that was I put that. I mean, I found it because 84 pins. I had the chance. It's got 84 poems now because before it had less. So I put a bit more in.
Oh, well,
So
that's
yeah, it's a bumper edition. It's quite big.
yeah.
It's not a very small book. I was able to go back and I restructured everything and put everything. I was able to. remaster it. You know, when you get
Yeah,
old recordings, I was able to remaster the 84 pins
that is
for.
really cool. It
The
was really
price is the same. The price is. I don't think the price has increased at all. So if anyone who wants it, it's there.
we're coming to an end because we're going to be hopping on in about a half an hour to another program that we're going to do a memorial tribute for Elizabeth. But
Yes,
just
I'll be there.
wanted to show a couple of comments. That's Greg, and then
Oh, thanks, Jill. Thanks, Greg.
Kathy Joe's here.
Oh, bless her. I know Kathy Joe will love the Paul Cow poem.
I'm sure she did. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Let's see if we got anything else. I think that is about it. And so, my poetry husband, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you,
Um,
Annette. I've
do
really
you think?
enjoyed
Do you
it.
think? Do you think 50 years from now, if we're alive, I don't think we will be because I'd be really old. But we'll be taking a vacay somewhere on the old porch. Yeah, my poetry.
I'd love to. I mean, hoping next. I mean, one of the things I'm planning to do next year is to go to America. So
I know. I
yeah.
know.
So I'm hoping to come. I want to come. I mean, New York. Sorry, America's so big. So I'm planning to come to New York.
Yeah.
To start
And
off
you're
with,
going to come to Virginia.
I'd love to come to Virginia because we talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah.
The other poet I'm going to mention before we go, one of the you talk about inspiring me. I think Zan Johns,
Oh, she's
Zanita.
amazing. Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
I think she's a legend in our lifetime.
She is.
Truly,
She
truly
is.
something
Yeah.
else. I've had the pleasure of writing with her,
Yeah.
and
She's a
I'm thinking.
she's got a powerful voice in
Yeah,
her
and I think
writing.
she's got the voice, but her, I think she lends herself to poetry and the creative word quite easily, and I love listening to her.
Yes. Yes. She's wonderful. And, well, thank you so much, my dearest. And keep writing. And you're getting so prolific with flipping those books out. So keep doing that.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be a one out next year. I want to try and put out one next year. I can't wait for the pop anthology. I worked really hard, as you know, together as an
Yeah.
editor
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think people will get an amazing surprise with not just the level of poems that are in there, but also the artwork. There's an amazing set of artwork from great
Yeah.
artists from around the world. So I just cannot wait to have that book in my hands.
That's
Honestly,
slated to come out next month. I announced it about a month or
it'll be
so
the best
ago.
It'll be the best Christmas present that you can ever get. Honestly, Annette, you need to. I think you've done an amazing job, and it was an amazing project. And to see it come to fruition.
Come fruition. Yeah, it'll happen next month.
We need to have a book
So
launch. We need to have a really great book launch for the pop anthology, I think.
we will. We will. But thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
you know how much I care for you and love your poetry and your work, and keep doing what you're doing, Sarfraz. You're an amazing poet and writer, as well
Thank
as a very good friend. So.
Oh, thank you,
uh,
Annette.
Thank you so much. And goodbye to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Jill's still talking about a cruise. One day we'll do a poetry
We
cruise.
should do a cruise with all the poets on there, and just imagine what we could write,
I know.
and the
Really,
creative
really.
energy on that cruise. Oh my God, I never a world cruise. I think because we're all global friends, aren't we?
We are. We are. It's wonderful. Thanks so much. And
Thank you, Annette.
thanks,
Okay,
everyone, for
take care.
joining.
Speak
Bye bye.
later.